Charles was online.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Do you see it?
Cindy, we're at 6. Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday, February 21st. It is 6 o'clock in the evening, and you are at the Celebration Residential Owners Association monthly board meeting. Board, was the meeting properly noticed? It was properly noticed. And we do have a quorum. In fact, I think we're all here. Charles is online. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Probably 6:02 now. Owner comments. Dane Anderson. Oh, I will put you on the list.
Good evening. My name is Dane Anderson. I reside at 2061 Celebration Boulevard. For those of you looking on the Parks map, it's an island village. It's not on the map. I stand before you this evening to share a brief story about Town Hall customer service and software. On July 25th, 2023, I received an email stating that we had a notice of violation addressing an issue of inadequate pruning of shrubbery around an HVAC compressor. I thought this because our landscape contractor weekly takes care of our yard and visual inspection of our shrubbery around the compressor confirmed we were not in violation. I reread the letter and realized that the photographs which were providing evidence of a violation were in fact not of our house, but that of the neighbor. We got in touch with Town Hall staff, provided pictures, and assumed everything at that point was resolved. I did not receive written confirmation of the violation that was in fact that it was faulty. I didn't give it another thought until a few weeks ago when I was looking at the resident portal to look after an ARC application we had pending, that I saw that the violation was still in existence. It was still there. After a series, I won't bore you with the details now, but I do have the receipts. After a series of back and forth emails, I've been told the only way the error can be expunged, and it wouldn't really expunge it, is to reconvey the property, or at least on paper, reconvey the property so that a new count can be established. All old records dealing with the house, the property, would be retained, but in a different location, not accessible to me. I've been told it's a software limitation. Most keyboards I know have a delete key in the upper right-hand corner of the keyboard. If this is a software issue, it needs to be resolved. This is not the level of the Disney level of customer service that was alluded to in the January 1st, 2024 Monday Matters communication. I brought this to the board's attention tonight as an example of a very needed improvement. I think it's high time that the board pull the curtain back a little further and take a deeper look.
Getting looks here. Okay. Mr. Baker.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Joshua Baker, 308 North Village. So I wanted to bring up a topic. I was just here for the appeals committee. And while I was seated, I got an email from town hall that my fines were waived. All my notices gone away. Had I got that email prior to you all receiving a packet and us discussing it, I would have never showed up. So like the previous gentleman just brought up, there is something wrong with Grand Manners, and it is major. I forwarded the email that I got to the CRO board at town hall at celebration.us. So you all have that in your mailbox if you don't already do so. So why is that important? There is a rampant miscommunication happening between Grand Manners and the residents. In tomorrow's covenants meeting, I will display that as I discussed in the appeals, but there is a broader issue, and I'm not the only one. As you've just heard, there's another gentleman who is also on the covenants committee brought that up. So there needs to be an articulate plan from the board, not from Grand Manners, of how we're going to action it. So in the packet I provided in my appeal, there is an action plan. It is time to hold them accountable for the things they're not doing. There's very clear things that needed to be executed in January, and they were not all done. So at this meeting, it should be a topic. Every one of those items that were not done, what is the next action plan, and what is the accountability we're going to action against Grand Manners? Thank you for the time.
Mr. Baker. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. Sarah Work, 2303 Celebration Boulevard. Just looking on the agenda, it's a discussion topic, so it's obviously going to come to the end if time permits, etc. But I saw the item about the heating of the Island Village pool. That's just obviously one of the pools in one of the villages. If and when we get to that point of discussion, if we could, perhaps my request is to find out what it would cost and take to heat all the pools, just so at least we have the budget figures. If we're seeking an estimate for one, maybe we seek it for all. That was just what I was thinking about, because we also are coming off that master plan meeting yesterday, which was very helpful.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. McDonald. You will notice when you come into the room for any of our meetings.
Oh, I know. I wrote my name down and I forgot to put the that I wanted to speak thing down.
I'm teasing him.
Hi.
We're old friends.
Agenda,
Yes, sir.
money, spending lots in one part of it here. I'm going to talk about that. I also want to talk about the discussion items. And I really think that the D should be A, and then A should just eliminate all the others in the discussion items. Because you need to discuss lights, heating, shade structure, all of those things when we have a master plan that is in the works and we have so much stuff that needs to get fixed. So I would like you to at least consider leaving most of the things that we want, and many of us claim we absolutely need, but the problem is everybody claims they need or want something. Everybody in every village and every home has a pet project. They mentioned it in the master plan meeting, which was great, by the way, that they counted 200 individual requests for things, people's wish list. Now, if you just average those out at $500,000 a piece, because some of them are multi-million, we're looking at $100 million. Money we don't have. We have to be very particular about what we spend money on. Now to the specifics. We have a truck that's older, that's not the best truck. However, I was in the car business in a past life. I know that that truck could have an engine and a transmission put in for about a third of $37,000 if those were needed. At this point, it seems like something we're buying because we want it, not because we absolutely need it. If that truck was dead, was laying out there, we couldn't fix it, get a truck. I would suggest buying a used one, but because you can save $10,000 right off the bat if you buy a used truck, late model. But I would suggest tabling this thing for a while, because money is going to be a big issue for the upcoming board with all the things we have to do and want to do. And we need to be very cautious about how we spend that money. Very cautious. Thank you.
Anybody else who you'd like to say something before we move on? Going. Okay. Do you have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Of course.
Actually, on the discussion items, I would like to move E under the management update. Shade structure at East Lawn Playground. So between the management update and the solar lights at the dog park. That's okay.
All right. Action items under section 8 action items. We have already addressed A and B at the hearing that we had at 4:30 today. So those are no longer going to be discussed. Prepare those already. Anybody else?
So I'll amend my motion with all those modifications.
I'll second the amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Approval of minutes. Do you have a motion?
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, moving on to financials. I think probably everybody is sitting on pins and needles wondering how we ended up 2003. Is Jen with us? Oh, please. Maybe she's in a different time zone. I've been doing traveling.
If it's like, why don't we just jump ahead and come back when she.
Do you know if she's coming? I thought she was coming. Do you want to? Do you want to go to the partner updates while we wait for a response? Okay, let's do that. We'll come back to the financials. Kitties. Okay. I will start the Covenants Committee meets, and they have met and they continue doing their good work. They are in the process of reviewing some guidelines along with the ARC committee. They just keep on keeping on. Who else would like to give us an update?
Look at my update on special events.
Okay.
They had their father-daughter dance at side Friday night, which was an amazing event. I've been going to a couple of the father-daughter events, but this, we spoke to quite a few girls and asked them, because they were older girls. We said, how many years have you been coming to this event? And a couple of them said since 2014. They go every year with their dad, and we asked what they loved, which venue they loved the best, and by far Lakeside Friday night was the place to be. If anybody saw it, it was incredible. Styles did an amazing job. To all the volunteers that aren't even on the committee that were there helping. We asked one of the dads, how many years have you been bringing your daughters to the dance? And he said since 2000, and I think he said since 2013 or 13 years. He says, I remember when they had a father-daughter dance in the small room in the town hall building and nobody could fit there. He said, this tonight is the most spectacular event that they've had. So thanks to the Lifestyles Committee and Lifestyles with management and the volunteers that were there. Jared came and saw what an amazing, people were just like in awe that would come up to Lakeside and said, where's the bride? Like all night long, they're going, where's the bride? And
What was the theme this year?
an enchanted evening. And the girls, they were just so excited. They were all ages there. There was even a baby in a stroller. It was just amazing. So they do an awesome job with everything they do. Service area, Rose has been working really hard with all the service areas. There's been some concerns in North Village with painting, but they're taking care of that, and maybe some issues with the columns. Technology. John, technology.
Thanks, Celia. We got a big update this month. A lot of things going on with Tech Committee. Thanks to Jose and Lauren. Fantastic relations that we have them. One will start on the website. So the website's up and running. We have Google Analytics 4 installed on it. So we're able to see who's on the site, how many hits, what pages are people going to. So since February 14th, we have over 6,000 visits to the website alone. So we get good metrics on it. So, and good feedback on it. So that's a good start with the website. The key card access project is started. We have the server installed. We have the PC workstation installed. We got the software installed. So that's moving along. ProTech came and did the walkthrough of the building here. We have rollout dates for the different areas that we're going to do it. And right now we're looking about hopefully 6 months, sometime in the fall, where we'll get to the part where I'm excited about is where we have the application to use for access from your phone into the thing. So people are excited about that. And that's going to affect the dog park and a lot of other events. So I'm real excited about that. Jose ordered a camera. Now, we went over a lot of cameras and we had our security meetings, but the unique thing about the camera that we ordered to do some testing on, it has a cellular connection to it. And the cellular connection, what we call it in the industry, is IoT, Internet of Things. So it's a cheap, few dollar a month connection. So now with that, we can put those cameras in places like in Artisan Park Amphitheater, in places where we couldn't connect before. So have more eyes in our facilities, which we're going to tie back to the police and sheriff that we're working with. So we're excited about that. We're going to do some testing around that as well. On the My Celebration app, we launched it. We have information out on it. I had a couple of meetings this week with CCDD. There's weekly updates with Angel and Lauren. I'm pushing on them to get more information because we have feedback from the residents, feedback from my team. So some testing we've done about the application itself. So I've asked for updates on a weekly basis of those bugs that we're encountering, usage, feedback from the residents on that. So I think we're in a good place with that as well. So we're excited about that. March 15th, cell service will be shut down. So the My Celebration FL app will be used for all logging. Jose has created some awesome videos. We're even throwing on some ideas now about possible some training. We can host it here. I'll do it myself. People can come in. We can walk them through the app if they want that as well. So we're excited about that. The last piece I want to talk about, we had a healthy discussion in our monthly tech meeting about communication committee. Now, we've had some people before. It's not an official committee, but we had feedback and we had a report that Krista gave to us. And we threw out some ideas maybe for the next year going forward about that information and how it ties to technology. I think most people know in the business, IT, information technology, is usually what departments are called, not just technology. Many of the communications in Celebration run through technology, the website, forms, other things. We're looking for new ways with the application that's going to be coming out with our website. So technology and communications, we feel are together. And because of that, we feel possibly that a communication committee maybe next year would be a good use of residents to volunteer. And I think we should even change our name to the IT committee instead of just a technology committee, because it's more than just hardware and the software. It's putting everything together to get that information out to our residents. And so we can have these tracks of information so people can find it. Because, to me, being in this town for so many years, you hear different stories from different people. Like nobody knows the source that really the information comes from. So we have that communication committee with our team and the board and Grandma's. I think we can get a streamlined way to get that good information out to the residents.
I just have a real quick question, John. So you said that you're working out the bugs with the My Celebration thing. Don't the folks that the CCDD purchased that from have their own people to come?
They do. So they've been fantastic in the past. Joe was a developer, but we gave feedback to them. So Tom on my team, he felt there's a priority, a couple of bugs. And he felt bugs there through the user interface, like how the app looks, how you sign up for a password and stuff. So those are some of the feedback we're going to get back from them and work with them on that.
I just wanted to make sure that the CCDD was getting their money's worth.
Yeah, no, they've been.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good things.
Hey, John. Real quick, do you or Jose, do we have maybe kind of early adoption rates of My Celebration FL? Are we seeing a lot of downloads and registrations? Do we have any kind of data or metrics around that, especially as we're getting closer to sunsetting cell service?
Those metrics right now for the rollout are on the CCDD side. When we start rolling out on our end, we can get those metrics.
Did you hear that, Charles?
Yep.
I think there's an extra item too, Charles.
Okay, and I'll talk about the two at the CDD meeting when we do the CROA. discussion.
David?
Yeah, echoing what Cindy said, good job. Thank you for all of that. When you mentioned coming to town hall, excuse me, and doing some trainings or so forth, great idea. Thank you for that. Would you consider doing some little filming of that, short vignettes? Maybe the training you're doing, and some of that could be broken apart for those who can't make it or want to look at something at 11 o'clock at night or something.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I mean, I do training all over the United States for Apple, and I work with business customers and government, and the best trainings come from when users have questions.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that'd be a fantastic idea to be able to record.
So it wouldn't necessarily be like a 10-minute seminar,
Yeah.
but it might be something that you do and you break it in, and even with an FAQ, want an answer to this, here's 75 seconds. Just think about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I fully support
With
of that.
maybe some share screens. I think that could be
Yeah, no, I
really
agree.
spot on.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll say I was unaware that we were shutting down the other app on March 14th. That doesn't mean I wasn't told. So I may have been told that, but we should just make sure that we are advertising that heavily if that app will be obsolete on March 14th.
And it gets pulled off the App Store, right, Jose, on the 15th of March as well. Yeah, it gets pulled off the App
It's
Store.
on all the amenity TVs. There's a banner here at Town Hall. There's going to be a table at every single event.
I've seen that about promoting the new app, but discontinuing the other app is a whole other thing.
And I wonder if that, to that point, multiple channels for that,
Right.
as well as, even though it may be shutting down, can you have a soft shutdown, meaning like we are no longer accepting applicate or requests here, you need to go here. So something that just resonates for months on end for those who didn't get the memo, or maybe snowbirds or whatever.
Right, so the app won't be able to be downloaded from the App Store. The app itself is that we got to find out if they log in, it might say, please download this app. So it might redirect them from the app that's still out there.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can pull a certificate. The certificate's pulled, the app won't even open up on the device. So we have to find out. But
Even that's better than it. And you think you submit a ticket.
yeah, no, that definitely won't happen.
Right.
Yeah. But we'll take that as an action, right? Great idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all you're doing.
No, thank you.
I think that's it. Jared?
The dog park committee met on Tuesday, February 6th. We updated the rules and regulations for the dog park. That was part of the discussion. Tom Hope from the technology committee joined to talk about the new gate system and some of the extra features that it can do as far as tracking multiple vaccination records and things like that. Brian gave an update on fertilizer and the forward process with that. And then there was bits of discussion on solar lights, which we'll talk about later this evening. On finance, a lot was discussed at finance.
We have Jennifer.
Okay, good.
Well, let's finish. We only have one more committee after Jared's done, and then
We can have Jennifer speak on those things.
you good, Jared?
Yeah.
Okay. Charles, you want to talk about Parks and Rec?
Rec committee did not meet, to my knowledge. So there's no report there. Do you want me to cover CDD real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so the main thing with CDD, a couple weeks ago, there was a special meeting to go through a charrette. So basically what they've been doing is interviewing professional firms for basically putting together really kind of a high level master plan. It's really kind of complementary, it seems, to what Master Plan Advisory Group is doing. So they had 4 firms come in and they interviewed them, and my understanding is they're going to be awarding a contract at the meeting next week, the CDD meeting. So I think we're at an interesting point. I know there was an email sent around where we're gonna need to figure out how we can kind of connect these, because it seems like we're all kind of swimming in the same direction. So I think there should be more to follow there. But if anyone can attend that CDD meeting, I think it would be valuable, especially after
Charles,
last night's that meeting.
Would you tell people what a shred is? I have a pretty darn good vocabulary, and I had to look it up. Will you tell people what it is?
I have no idea. I'm
Who's joining you?
Okay, Bill knows. Bill knows what it is. He'll bail you out. Great, Bill.
It's basically goes back to, well, it's a French word. It goes back to, they used to have a push cart and they push it around and people put their artwork in it and then display it. And it's the same idea. And it's used for planning purposes, generally with master planning, architectural reviews and things like that. They'll have a charrette, a planning charrette, and that's, basically the source of the work.
So that means translates in modern times to like putting a bunch of ideas in a hat and then,
Well, not in a hat, but
well,
kind of
yeah,
like putting them up on the wall as we would it have been done.
Huh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, no, it was really good. I mean, there were a few firms that came in, some that have been here since the beginning with, designing some of the other, the library and Spring Lake. So it's a very interesting process to watch it play out. And again, I think we're at an interesting time too, especially with yesterday's awesome MPAG session. So more to follow there.
is that it?
That's it.
DRC?
ARC. So we met this week. Generally approved typical kind of things. There was a discussion that has opened up a bigger discussion related to demolishing a house and building another house in the same location. The art committee felt uncomfortable addressing the design of the house, although they certainly had seen the proposed design in draft designs. But whether you can tear down a house and build another house, they felt needed more of a policy review. So it's being looked at by the town architect, celebration company, grand manners, and then we'll circle back to the art committee as to the design. Only because it just seemed like this was a bigger question than whether we like the design of a new house. So if you've heard something about it, that's the status at the moment.
Interesting. Are all the committees covered? Is Kathleen here? I didn't see her walk in. Oh, there she is. Kathleen's gonna let us know what's going on at the foundation. I know why I didn't recognize you. Got your hair pulled back.
Thank you, Cindy. February, very busy for the foundation. We had a little event called the Vienna Boys Choir at Corpus Christi Church. We had 700 attendees. That took 25 adult volunteers to pull that off. 7 Celebration High School music students to pull that off. And they were coming and going because they were performing for their solo ensemble in St. Cloud at the same night. But they raised the most amount of money for the band program at the school that evening in the amount of $900. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful event. We have 2 more concerts in our concert series. The next one is Saturday, March 2nd. It is Evolution Motown. A few of you might have heard of that type of music. Tickets are still available. It will be at Community Presbyterian Church. And you can go online, purchase tickets, or coming to the office. We are heading towards a sellout, so I do not suggest that you wait and bite at the door. Our scholarship applicants are in, and it's going to be very difficult, but the future looks bright for all of the students that applied. So we had 53 Celebration High School students apply for that scholarship. We had 42 arts students apply, and we had 22 apply for the Congresswoman Pat Schroeder. So we've got the scholarship committee's got a lot of work. I'll announce next month who the recipients are. You might have seen Celebration Lifelong out and about in the 851. They are back. They are back into their spring session. You can still join. You can have a class on ordinary to extraordinary travel adventures. But I think the real thing about this session is they're all back together in the 851. So when they change classes, it's very social in the atrium. So thank you to the town hall staff. But we're also trying a hybrid. So you can come to the 851 for a class, or you can sit in the comfort of your recliner at home in your slippers and join us as well. And speaking of slippers, you might have seen our Thriving in Place members out and about walking in North Village. They have started a partnership for some lunch and learns with AARP, but AARP the second Monday of every month is hosting Walk with a Doc. It starts at North Village Pavilion. Anyone can join at 8:30, and you actually walk with a nurse practitioner. So if you can't get that doctor appointment right then and there, and you got a question about your health, just get out there and walk with them. And that is for everyone, every celebration resident. And lastly, thank you for putting the Memorial Garden on the map. It looks wonderful, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kathleen. Good stuff, as always. Okay, we've got all our committee and partner updates done. Jen?
Yeah.
And what, who said that?
I was saying we have to do finance. That's what you're-
Yeah, we're back to Jen.
Hi, everybody. I apologize I wasn't here earlier. So we're going to talk about the December financials, the year end. We ended with a loss of $260,000. And we know the majority of that was the repairs to the 851 building. So really, we ended up in a pretty good shape overall with our expenses, controlling our expenses. So our fund balances for the end of the year ended up with operating being at 1.5 million. The reserves were at 2 million, and the capital is at 3.4 million. We have the most, I would say, the expenses that we knew about were the pool expenses were high. Overall, landscaping was also some expensive repairs and things in landscaping, and the budget wasn't done. And then, of course, Island Village coming on early caused some expenses in the year.
Jen, before you move on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Before you move on, every once in a while, folks misunderstand. We're over budget, but that doesn't mean we're in the hole. Can you kind of explain how that works?
Yeah, in the hole refers to your cash position. Being over budget or under budget, that's just the goal that we set for the year that we're trying to stay within to control our expenses. So in the hole would mean that we have no cash, and that's not the case. If we look at the balance sheet at the top, it tells our cash position and where we're at. And it's so in this particular one, you would look at all the cash together, and you're sitting nicely at least $500,000 in operating alone, with almost 2 million in reserves and well over 3 in capital, and that's just the cash. So we're not in the hole by any means. We have great cash flow each month.
Great. Thank you so much. Continue, please.
So I'm looking at, was the holiday concert, I could be mistaken, that was not CCS, right? That's under CROA.
The holiday concert is a CROA expense.
Okay. So it looks like we came in under budget for the expense, but it looks like we missed pretty heavily with the income, like about 11,000. Was there any commentary around? Looks like we projected 22K and we came in at 10.3. Is there something?
I couldn't speak to the income. I'm just reporting the income. So I don't know.
Yeah, management, Lauren or Jeff, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that came from, we had in prior years, some of the holiday concerts were opened up. No. Yeah, I'll have to look at that and get back to you then.
That's fine. That just looked like a bit of a swing and a miss. It was good to see that we came in under budget though with the actual concert. So, okay. Oh, that was it. Thank you.
Could it be because there wasn't a lot of attendance?
Oh, that's what it was. Last year we held it at the CCFC and we sold a lot more tables, and the plan was to expand on it, but then we pivoted and it was held at Lakeside. So there were fewer tables sold. That's why it was.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, we'll want to monitor that for 2024, obviously.
Would you like me to speak on January's financials?
Sure.
for the start of 2024, we are doing fabulously well. We ended with at the end of January with a surplus of $38,000 to budget. So it was a great start. Our expenses were low based on budget, and our income was high. So again, it was a great start. So hopefully that'll continue throughout the rest of the year. We did have some great savings in water for 2024. Cindy was able to help us go through all of our water bills and verified that we overpaid in 2023. So we were able to observe that savings in January. So that was great. So at the end of January, our cash position is in operating currently. The fund balance is 3.2 million, and reserves is 2, and capital is 3.4. So we're not in the hole at all for January with almost or little over $1 million in cash alone. So January is a good start. I was very excited about it. Did anybody have any questions regarding it?
I have a general question. I know at the finance committee meeting, there was an issue with CIT, our bank, to recognizing service area income and recognizing it to the proper funds. Has that, what was the result of that? Has that been resolved?
I don't understand.
This checks canning piece, where things were going to Pac West instead of to CIT was resolved. The service area accounts are still in the process of being set up, and we're trying to figure out a good time to switch them since they pay on a monthly basis and get the notices out to the residents.
Okay.
Sorry, I have one more question on the capital improvement fund. Am I seeing that we came in 30% under projection? Is that for 2023?
Oh, you're talking about 2023.
Yeah, sorry. Can we go back to 2023? Sorry.
That's okay. We'll go back. So the capital fund is not technically budgeted. So what do you mean we came in under?
Yeah, I'm looking at actual versus just kind of at the last line item, the net surplus. Like I'm seeing we at 570 and then.
Oh, okay. So basically it was capital fund budget is driven a lot by the resales, and the resales for 2023 were down. So yes.
Okay. So that's, yeah, I'm trying to go back to earlier conversations with capital expenditures and kind of where we projected the capital fund, and we're not there is kind of my takeaway.
Yes. Yeah. And it was
okay.
It was the resale piece. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
So
Perfect.
Charles, I'll also add to that. Traditionally, Celebration has budgeted resales at 300, as that's proven to be a solid number. The decision was made for the 2023 budget to bump that up to 350 resales because of the Island Village factor and the market in 22. Obviously, we didn't hit that projection because things cooled down. So in the 24 budget process, we did set it back at the 300 standard level for expected revenue.
Okay. Yeah. And again, I don't want to reopen wounds, but just looking at that with where we projected and where we came in at with that, again, with capital projects and whatnot. So that's helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Jen, do you have anything else to share?
I do not.
Any other board members have any questions? Any other questions? Okie doke. Okay. With that, we will move on to our consent agenda. These are items that we've looked at the information on, but there's generally no discussion that needs to take place because they're usually routine items. A lot of these things are part of the reserve study. So do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Items A through H.
Wait, who seconded?
Yeah.
Jared and Bilbo. Jared and Bilbo. Okay, let's get to Bill. Okay, Jared.
Sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
Sorry, I'm in favor.
All righty, action items. As I mentioned earlier. Did you say?
I interrupted you.
Stop. As I mentioned earlier, we have already addressed items A and B. So we will start with C. Motion to amend the board resolution committee task force advisory groups to extend the expiration date for all current committees from March 2024 to April 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to table this.
Second.
Rationale?
Well, it seems unnecessary as a motion for this board to impose on the March 24th.
Okay, so the master resolution says that all terms for all the people on all the committees will expire in April. In March, rather. That's what I thought, in March. So you don't see that as a problem?
Well,
All we're doing is kicking
no.
the date up so that people don't feel like they're,
I think if it is a problem, then it is for that board to make.
Yeah, next board can deal with it first week of March, second week of March, first day of March. It seems to fall directly within the new board's purview.
well, personally, I think they're going to have enough to do with rewriting all of the action items, re-looking at the master one, sending out notices for the committee members so we can get new committees set by the time, by the time we have all the stuff done. I think you guys are kind of putting the cart before the horse. This is nothing other than saying these committees that are standing now will still be effective for the next couple months.
I think, remember last year, Jared, when we were doing the committees, you're the one that realized, wait a minute. Yeah, this committee isn't even in effect because their resolution expired. So the meeting we had doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, maybe we should move it to May.
That's what I was thinking. It can't hurt anything.
You know what I'm saying? Remember you said, and then
I remember.
Park, and then I said, oh, wow, special events, their meeting doesn't count either because they have no resolution.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Remembering that one?
Yep.
And I think there was like a couple of meetings. It might have been Parks and Rec, because you're the one that called the attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a different.
No,
I think that's what we're trying to figure out. So when we go into March.
I'm just saying that's my argument here is the only reason I asked the table is because if that is a thing that needs to be discussed, that should be discussed with the board.
It doesn't have to, with next year, it can revert back to whatever it is now. I'm just saying, because no one on the board had an appetite to start working on this a couple months ago, that now we're kind of behind, and I don't want to put the new board behind the 8 ball. There's no, we can change it when you folks do the master resolution next, you can change it back to March. All I'm saying is just for these next couple months, just make it formal, so there's no question about, geez, is there really a committee? Is there not a really committee? Well, this, that's all I'm asking for. I'm the one who put this on the agenda. So do you want to call them both?
So in March, when like special events has their meeting, the second Tuesday of the month, is that committee?
It's still valid in March.
in
Still valid.
March?
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
What
It says March. It doesn't say 1st of March.
What if,
31st of
because
March.
you and I and Charles are still going to be on the board. What if writing all the resolutions with all the committees, putting out the notice to the committee, to the community for committee members and all that? What if we don't get it all complete in April?
And we'll extend it.
Then
Well,
what?
in
Then
March,
you,
no,
yeah,
March.
then you
What if we're
do a
not-
resolution for May? Or look, I think this is ultimately something that falls within the next board to align around and, have a discussion and develop the, where do they want to go and ultimately look at these resolutions too. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of an outgoing board tying the new board to this. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Cindy. I'm
Well, it doesn't, but it,
I'm not counteracting that, and I understand the purpose of that.
yeah,
I feel that's something for the new board to decide. That's all. That's all. This, I mean, we can take a vote and move on because this doesn't deserve as much attention for.
Okay.
So
I don't know whether it's.
the new board will have,
Wait,
the new board will have an organizational meeting, and then they'll set the board meetings. If they follow the pattern, at least over the last 8 years, the first board meeting would be the last Wednesday, the fourth Wednesday of March, which gives a few days. If it doesn't get addressed with an overloaded agenda, then the committees, by default, if we don't change this, will expire a few days later.
but I guess to what Charles and Jared are saying, then the new board can just move to extend it.
Which they're gonna have
So
to
they just
do
have it as an agenda
anyway.
item.
So why not do it now? And then they don't have to worry about it and they can take their time
Precisely the point.
doing, rewriting the master charter, rewriting each of the descriptions for the committees, getting out the word for people to apply for committees. And then, like I said, when you get around to doing the master thing, if you want to revert back to March, then do it. But for right now, and to your point that you brought up, like Sia says, I remember that too. You realize that, hey, the time is up. We don't have any standing committees anymore because the date passed.
Well,
You're
I
just,
think
you're
to
just
Gary's
giving the
point, like,
new
this is
board
definitely
political
not the most,
flexibility.
well, and this is not the most offensive thing on the agenda. So I think if,
Yep. Okay,
depending
let's
on
go
where
ahead and call the
it
vote.
is, yeah, whatever it is.
The vote is about tabling. The motion is to
the
table.
Yeah.
Okay. So table this for the new board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Opposed? Me?
Nay,
Okay, it's 3-3. So
does not pass.
it's not passed.
We can put a motion forward to amend it to go to April and not table it.
It is.
Or May.
It's currently April.
It's March.
I mean, it's currently March.
It's currently March. The motion was to make it to April.
Yeah.
Jared wanted to leave it at March. I'll make a motion to move it to May for all the reasons
May
I've already
May
said.
30th,
May
31st.
31st, yep. Do I have that's my motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
I'm gonna oppose too.
Okay, so does not pass.
Okay. All righty, moving on. All right, motion to approve purchase of 2024 Chevy Silverado $1,500 truck for maintenance department by Don Neely Chevy in the amount of $37,468.05 for the Pro Reserve funds. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the purchase.
Motion from Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Okay, Lauren, what's changed since last month?
Nothing's changed. I mean,
Well,
we provided additional information about how much money has been spent on maintenance, the trade-in value, things, the blue book value of it as well, since there was some discussion about whether the board will want to possibly trade it in or sell it on the open market. So we went with the Kelly Blue Book rate because it would give you kind of a range of what you would see for a price for it. The current truck is, it's not in great shape. It has electrical issues with the system. It's got AC issues and it has a difficult time maintaining fuel levels. It's been to the shop multiple times. But
this is a 2015.
16.
2016.
But if,
Well, we have money. We have,
if the board requests us to keep it and just keep it in service until it.
we have money in the
it's done, we
reserve
can do
fund
that.
every over many years to replace trucks. Is it, even when you have your own car, you get to the point where, every month there's something else going wrong with it. Is this to that point where we should maybe take Don's suggestion and repair it, or should we just, I'm not a mechanic, so I don't know, but we've never, we've always, that I can remember, kind of stuck to the reserve study as far as replacing the trucks.
And what's the cost of insurance?
Important factor here.
Yeah, as your trucks get older, your insurance rates get impacted. So, I mean, the mileage is getting up there on that truck as well. Brian's in the back. He might have a better idea of how much mileage is on the truck.
Yeah, that one in particular.
It's okay if you don't know off the top of your head.
How many
Yeah, I
trucks-
don't.
How many trucks do you have? The two small ones and the one big one?
This is, they're looking for an extended bed on.
We
this.
have 3
Mhm.
right now.
Right.
Uh,
And this one has the extended bed.
Yes. Yeah, we have a 2013 Ford F-150, a 2016 Chevy Colorado, and a 2020 Chevy Silverado. But the 2016 Chevy Colorado has been the most problematic. We've had to put a new transmission in it. And after that, we've had to put a new AC unit in it.
That's the one we're talking about here.
Yes. And we have constant electrical issues where the dash goes blank on it. We've had it in and out the shop with that. Sensors just constantly go bad, and yeah, it's just been very problematic. So
I don't disagree. It needs to be replaced as in, and I hate to keep kicking this, should we look at a like certified pre-owned one? Is that going to be less expensive than this 37?
Somebody else's problem.
Yeah, I agree with that too. So
Yeah.
We have done the research and we've looked at some certified and they're all in the same.
okay.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion from Bill and a second from David to approve the purchase of this truck. Any other conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Opposed?
You're opposed, Charles?
Yes.
The other thing is when it goes in the shop, it takes it off the streets and the guys don't have transportation.
If I could just add that, we look at it from a safety standpoint for our staff. You understand? So,
Yeah.
and not just our staff, is the community. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
E, motion to approve installation of a memorial plaque at Founders Park provided by the Daughters of the American Revolution as approved by the ARC committee.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Shouldn't accept. If I'm reading this correctly, we need to decide whether it goes on the north side or the east side.
Yeah, there were two.
I understood from the ARC that they really liked that entrance that was the, at the corner of Campus Street and Celebration Avenue as the main was like the east entrance.
Where the seal is? The seal
Yes.
on the sidewalk.
Yes, and so if you go down there, there are the benches on either side, and it would be in between the benches. If it were to face north northeastern, it would be on the left-hand side there, and those were the pictures that I did send.
I'm sorry, I don't think I know you.
Hi, my name is Jan Booher. I'm the chair of the local chapter that serves the celebration of the DAR called the Abraham Sully chapter. We have an American 250 committee, and this is associated.
So there's so many pictures here, there was one that was kind of square and flat, and then there was one that was kind of angled so you could actually read it.
Right,
From a
so
distance?
there, right, okay, so what I understood from the ARC was that there were two entrances and they chose the one. There were 4 different possible designs and they narrowed it to 2. So I tried to put the 2 pictures in there. So if you can make a decision of either of those, we were thinking that if you know the people who had installed the existing markers and you wanted it to be looking like the existing markers, I've got that picture in there. That's the one that's got the white base. It has a bronze plaque on the top of it. Or if you wanted to have the other one, which our Mayaca chapter has installed at a park in Naples, and we could consult with them on that. That design can be done in white. And
That's
then,
this one.
that's correct. That's the one that can be done in white, and then it's the
I thought-
dimensions are different.
I thought that was the one that,
No, there's a choice between this one.
I know, I was at the meeting.
Oh,
I was at the art meeting.
I may have
They make me go.
misunderstood because I may have misunderstood. So
What's
I
your understanding, though?
I thought that they liked this one.
Okay, yeah, the one I like, the green one,
Okay.
but in white.
It says
Right.
installation in the east entrance is preferred.
I didn't recall them picking a location.
I would, so my motion is to approve it. I would let Mark decide what and where.
Yeah, they have their own recommendations in the
Yeah.
letter.
I vote for the one that you can actually read when you're standing in front of it. It's not in front of it.
So we're approving what the ARC committee already approved.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. That motion was made by Jared and by Celia. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Can I ask a question? Is there a way in the future, since that's our park, to put the Space Coast emblem out there? Is it out there?
What?
Not Space Coast, you mean Space Force,
Space Force or whatever.
the
You
new
know, the
branch
new
of the military.
branch of the military. I mean, that's.
I thought they were a subset of somebody, like the Air Force or
I
something.
don't think so.
Well,
Anybody?
you don't want to say that.
Any
because then you're
veterans
people
know?
from the Navy, because you're saying they're a subset of the Marines. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. A lot of residents have asked about that.
We'll do some research and
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, motion to approve replacement of air conditioning unit at Spring Lake Clubhouse by Westbrook in the amount of $5,975.
Is the clubhouse at Spring Lake?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
In favor? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Next two have to do with our finances. G and H recommendations from the Finance Committee. The first one's to approve the investment of $400,000 from the capital fund in 3-month treasury bills with Truist at the recommendation of the Finance Committee. I have a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second. Jared and Celia. So this is an additional $400,000 from what we already have in.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion passes. H, motion to approve the renewal of existing investment funds for 12-month periods as they come up for renewal at the recommendation of the Finance Committee.
So I'll just clarify for this. We originally, when we invested these in the summer, it was 369 each month.
Right.
They're out now starting to come up for renew. And so if we keep them on a 12-month cycle at this point, they will remain liquid every 3 months the way that we.
But you would get the higher rate of return.
Yes.
Which is what you're
Yes, also true.
You might always not do that automatically, Jared. I mean, somebody should, because they will automatically roll over, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's an agenda item on the Finance Committee to always be discussing that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at one time at the bank, we had a president who started offering higher rates on the shorter terms because he was looking to do something with the money way above my head, but longer term doesn't necessarily always mean higher rate. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, but they're on top of it. So motion by Jared, second.
Second.
Bill. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Aye. Motion to approve renewal agreement with Larson Prime. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
Celia and Bill.
So for discussion, I know where we were in discussion on this, but we've never got the details that we needed to confirm to be able to vote on.
yeah, I didn't get it in writing today like I was expecting.
Yeah.
Are you talking about something in particular?
The swap.
What I figured. So what do you want to do?
When is the contract expire?
April.
As I say, the only thing is a new board wouldn't be,
Yes.
wasn't a part of the
Review.
interview process.
I haven't voted on this still this month, but I just feel like we need that documentation.
Okay. All right.
And we also don't have the agreement in the packet. So.
Yeah, we did. Well, it came today.
Not
It came to,
in the public packet.
No, it's not in the public packet, but
Can we publish?
ideally be in the public packet, but it's not a 720 requirement for the supplemental documentation to be public for the board to vote on it. But yes,
Okay.
ideally it would.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should be tabled until we get all of that buttoned up. Those are pretty important details.
Added to the list of things for next week.
Next week.
I'll try to squeeze something in
There's a
very
meeting next
quickly
week?
to approve it.
There's a meeting every day next week.
So how are we gonna, since we were part of this discussion, like somebody said, the new board is gonna come on that wasn't part of this executive session.
Next week's
Well,
list.
we're not going to be signing anything anytime soon. All we're doing right now is,
So you have two options. One, we can call a 30-minute meeting
Yeah.
to get this done. And none of you have to come in here. We can just make it virtual only, and I can open up this room to residents and I'll sit here and you guys can make a vote.
Yeah.
Or you can do a universal approval resolution and that I can email out to you. You can all sign and then we can publish on the website and then it's ratified by the new board.
I'm fine with either option. And I understand the necessity of this for this group to do that, given the research done.
This group interviewed
Yes.
3 companies and the next board will not have that opportunity.
Yeah. There was
So they would be,
a
they would
legal-
have less information than we have.
so you want to change your motion to put the table this until we get the documents that we are missing?
Yeah.
And Bill, go along with it?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Perfect. Okay, motion to approve issuance of RFP as recommended by Vigilant Services for the Spring Park Playground. I have a
Motion
motion.
to approve.
Motion.
Oh, Charles got in there fast. Bill second, yeah. Any discussion?
Just a couple of quick comments, and I see Chad's on. Hey, it looks like just kind of going through it. It looks like it captured everything we needed. Just a comment, and I don't know as a board if you want to give this feedback or whatnot. I think the one thing that I'm looking at, we may need to make it a little more clear what are actual submittal requirements. Like I know we included number 22, submitting a high fidelity project timeline. I just don't want that and the warranty to kind of get lost. So I see like you bolded 24, 25, and 26. So I don't know if there's just a way maybe to quickly kind of delineate what's required with the proposal submittal. And then the only other, actually there was one other feedback. I think we still have cost breakdown worksheet. Cost breakdown
Repeat
worksheet.
what you just said, Charles. Repeat what you just said. You kind of got garbled up there.
Yeah, so what I was saying was, I think we just need to clearly delineate what are the proposal submittal documents needed. So like the high fidelity timeline, number 22 and 23, the warranty. It would just be better to have kind of a clear way for vendors to know what we need as part of the proposal submittal. Because right now it just seems like it's kind of lost in the general requirements of contractor section. And I think it was pretty clear in the last proposal, the last RFP, what's required. This just makes me a little bit worried that it's going to get lost out there.
All right, so I will bold those out, and then when I send in the email body, I'll bulletize those bold ones again.
Okay.
But I'll make sure to include all your supporting documents with the RFP and.
Okay. And then the one other thing I noticed, Exhibit A, cost breakdown worksheet. Actually, maybe it was something else. I think we're calling Exhibit A cost breakdown worksheet guidance, but
right.
It's within the proposal document. So you need to make that Exhibit A.
Well, it's kind of in both. If you look on page,
you're starting on Exhibit B on page 13. There's no Exhibit A. You've got end of request for proposal document after it's a cost breakdown worksheet on page 12. As I read it, that should be Exhibit A. That's where you start with Exhibit A.
So Charles, you're saying you want the Excel spreadsheet inserted into this PDF for
No,
Just-
what I'm saying is on page 9, we're seeing Exhibit A as cost breakdown worksheet guidance. So we're calling that Exhibit A. We are including it, however, in the proposal in the RFP document on page 12. So it just needs to be it either needs to be taken out, cost breakdown worksheet general guidance of the exhibits, and just put in the general RFP, or it needs to be Exhibit A.
I can do either one because kind of the first tab of the cost breakdown worksheet is kind of like a more detailed outline of guidance, I guess you could say.
Yeah, whatever's easiest at this point. I just wanted to specify that.
Just making sheet 12 Exhibit A.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's very clear what you're asking. You have to go here.
Yeah.
In order to see Exhibit A,
Exactly.
you have to go here. So I think if you just, Chad, put Exhibit A on page 12, we're good.
Okay,
Yep.
I got
That's
you.
perfect.
I just wanted to ask, Charles, are you done? I'm sorry.
Yep.
There's been discussion back and forth on this. People are kind of all over the place, and I'm not going to fight this. I just want to ask it once. There's been questions from residents about a budget cap. What if people come back with an RFI saying how much for this blue sky option proposal 3? What's the budget? And we're going to have to come up with that if that becomes an RFI. But would it not be better for us to determine something now? I mean, do we plan to entertain a $2 million bid for the playground, or is that seem unreasonable?
I don't think.
I don't, this is just me. I mean, I don't think people will go crazy with this. It's a playground. They'll see what we have to work, what they have to work with as far as area and whatever. And then if it comes up a little high, maybe we get rid of one of the 2 sliding boards or something. I don't know.
And the RFP says there will be scope refinement down select. So I think anything that we prescribe right now is arbitrary, because I don't think anyone on the call is a playground expert and understands what the market's going to dictate. The market creates the pricing. And then I think we look at that, we evaluate that. And again, we're not saying proposal 3 is going to be the way to go, but
Right.
it would make sense to do that, open up, potential, maybe different looks. And the one thing I would argue is, if we're getting a proposal back and this thing is whatever, $20,000, $30,000 more, but we've maybe got a 10-year longer warranty, or we've got a different look of equipment. I don't think that we should put an arbitrary number that we pull out of thin air into this. I think we just let the market dictate it, let them come back with good proposals, and we go from there. And I think we should characterize this correctly, because some of the characterizations were incorrect through email.
We did discuss that in the background, and Mark and I and Jeff and Lauren, and they kind of, said, suggested a range, and Mark and I are like, we want to let them set it, because if our goal is 250 and they come in at 200, well, they're going to make it 250. Plus, we get the other side, but we just figured this is the easiest way to let the market predict, like you said, because we don't know if it's going to be $200,000 or $1 million, but obviously you can pick through them and see what's reasonable if you're even going to go with option 3.
Agree.
So.
All right, any more discussion? Okay, we have a motion by Charles and a second by Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed, Jared?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fee waiver request. I have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Sorry, Celia.
Oh, go ahead. No, Jared.
David and Jared. Oh, okay. I just want to say on the list here that we have, the reason and the account notes for the second one on the list, that's kind of hard for me to believe.
Right. Yeah, my motion is based on management's recommendation. But I saw that too.
There's a motion from David and a second Jared to approve as submitted with management's recommendation. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna oppose. Dean Celia, oppose. Okay. Fee waiver requests. I have a motion.
No, you mean collection account request.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion. The recommendation from the Arias Bossinger was confusing. It had an and or in it. And so I'm gonna make a motion to waive late fees, period.
I'll second.
The and or didn't help.
Mm-hmm. I made the same note, David. So you said late fees?
My motion is to waive late fees and not waive interest. That's my motion.
I'm fine with that, but I guess the question is, recommendation is coming from the attorneys who do collections, which is not Larson company. I assume they're saying it that way, to leave it open-ended to us. But it's not a recommendation if it's in.
Right. Yeah, it was one of those fuzzy things.
Yeah, but we need to tell them either recommend or
What
don't
are you
recommend.
recommending? Does management have a recommendation? Okay. Okay, fine. No, that's fine. That would
Well,
be,
only because he said and or, so I get it. I understand his reason why. But I will ask them that moving forward, they give a more specific recommendation.
no recommendation.
Or just say we have no recommendation.
That's fine.
So, but for now, we have a motion from David and a second from Jared to instruct the attorney to waive late fees only and keep the interest.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Non-compliance listing. I got a new one of those.
Do I have that, Lauren, the new one, or is it just printed?
It's just printed.
It's in the package.
I know, but there's.
But there's one.
So he
Oh, that's
probably.
Yeah, I'll abstain in this round, but just wanted to check.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second, we don't have one.
Okay, so it went down from 70 to 67, right? So 3 additional ones were.
Yes,
The one that you did. Did you hear that, Charles? There were 3 removed since the one that appeared in the board packet. So it went from 70 to 67, so.
That's
He
fine.
just
Yeah,
doesn't
I'll-
I mean, it's not a big difference.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'll abstain.
Okay, Charles abstaining. Great. S9 conversions. Motion? Second. Ready, Celia? Any discussion?
Just a question on this. I don't remember seeing this sort of thing in the packet before. Is this something new? I mean,
You cannot collect on fines and fees, which covenants fines are considered, and the management fee that you impose for the administrative processing of the covenant stuff. You cannot send them to collections unless they are converted to a specific assessment. So once their fines are imposed by the covenants committee, once they pass their appeal date and or they've had their appeal and you've made a decision, they have another, I believe it's 45 days to pay the fine. We don't put it on their account at that time because otherwise it will, 1, mess with the financials, and 2, it's a pain to pull things off. And so they get a 45-day notice. And then after that 45 days, if it's not paid, then it comes to the board for you to convert it to a specific assessment. And then they have another 45 days notice, and then it goes to the attorney.
Okay.
And this is posting it to the account.
This is posting it to the account and making it a collectible amount.
But to your question, I don't think these were green before.
I just don't remember seeing.
They weren't. Yeah,
I don't remember this particular form before.
Yeah, it wasn't green. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't
I
green.
don't
Because I looked at it and said, oh, okay.
it was a test.
It's too late to change the color.
It's a test.
Okay.
It's like, oh, that's for the new board.
See if we're reading this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we've got a motion from Jared and a second from Celia to approve the S9 conversions. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, management update.
Hello, everyone. Does anyone have any questions about anything in the report? I don't want to.
Hang on.
Well, you're looking, can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was there any update with Lakeside Pool?
With the issue the other night?
Yes.
With the leak or the overflow. Brian,
Right. Brian?
Brian would have that.
Yeah, the autofill seems to be an ongoing issue there, and we got some proposals that are in the works right now for the autofill. The trickle was set a little bit too high, and unfortunately, by the time we had the report, it was already overflowing. But
It's a good thing Kelly was there, otherwise, all the daughter
Yeah,
dance
as
would
soon
have
as
been washed away.
As soon as Kelly called Nikki had the pool company out there.
yeah,
Okay. But that's just because there was a malfunction
With
or,
the auto.
yeah, with the autofills and the trickle being set a little bit too high.
doesn't the pool
Yeah.
company that maintains our pools, aren't they, do they just maintain the pools or are they supposed to be checking all of this?
They're checking on
Yeah,
that. They've had, Lakeside's been temperamental with the autofill. That's why Brian's saying we're looking at proposals to
Okay.
correct the issue.
Okay, thanks.
Under the operations department on page 8, it says towards the bottom, I think it's 5 on the bottom, it says the electrical cover was also repaired. But I don't know what that applies to. It's between the drinking fountain and the tollway sign. So I know it doesn't apply to either of those. Not all that important. I was just curious.
The electrical cover at the basketball court because they were doing all the
Oh, yeah,
GFCIs.
right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then,
That's on the light post.
and then the other thing was tollway sign. Are we having problems with at Island Village? Are we having people parking things there that don't belong? What's
Oh, on the over.
Yeah, people are parking there overnight. They're leaving their bikes there. They're leaving, yeah, I think that was it.
Probably from the apartments.
Where are they being towed from? The
Island Village Clubhouse.
The clubhouse.
There's a lot of cars that have been there overnight, and there was one car in particular that was there for almost over a week. Yeah.
So like Celia said, the father-daughter dance was a huge success. Over 220 residents attended. Ticket sales were really good. We've made a lot of progression with the Gallagher system. The servers are all installed. Sensors were installed in town hall and tested. I believe, Jose, they're moving to the dog park networks.
So they have to finish installing on these doors. So the test was just to ensure that the software does work and is compliant with all the configurations that we needed. The PC was also set up, making sure that we can establish connection directly to the server. Once those hardware pieces arrive, they'll do the installation in town hall, and then we will proceed at dog park.
For the service areas, we have 3 paint projects, repainting projects that are currently out for RFP: Roseville, Green Lawn, and Academy Row. Landscaping, in my report during the week, we've mentioned a lot about the dying Asiatic jasmine. Specifically in Longmeadow, there's some vinage that is killing some mature Asiatic jasmine. So we have
vines, you say?
Yeah, vines. They're invasive vines that are killing it. So Brian Causey from Exquisite and Prince and Sons are working on a solution. If you go to Longmeadow today, they were removing a lot of it, and we are getting proposals to replace it. We've had some new staff members, 3 in maintenance. Also, 1 new inspector. They started last week. They are acclimating themselves very well. We're also doing very well. Month-to-date sales for merchandise is just under $4,400 for the month of February. For events, we've got a lot of stuff coming up. Lucky Leprechaun, Painting with a Twist. We're supposed to have Team Dodgeball later this week. We did not get a good turnout. So if anyone in the community has teens that want to have some fun in dodgeball, we have some of the staff staying to play as well.
So this is something that management put in place for teens in the community. That
We only had
people
two.
are saying, we don't have anything for teens in the community, and nobody signs up for it.
Two teams signed up.
Okay.
Personally, I never liked dodgeball because I don't want anybody trying to hit me with a ball.
Fan.
There will be other teen nights, so we'll have.
I know, I'm just
versions.
being funny, but I hated dodgeball.
And we don't maintain the sport fields anymore, correct? That's why they look the way they do.
We don't maintain them and we don't have access to the locks. So if residents want to use them on the weekends, they need to reserve them through the school district. We do not open them up in the morning and close them in the evening anymore.
Okay. What about the lights?
We don't own them, operate them, pay their bill.
Okay.
We just replaced them.
They should be good to go
Should
for a
be
while.
good for a while.
Well, no, in case
Yeah, I know.
people say, hey, that's just out there, that we don't maintain or take care of any of that anymore. Who does?
So this year we started open houses with all the amenity centers. So we've had one in Island Village, one at Heritage Hall. On March 2nd, we have one at Lakeside from 2 to 3. We'll also be there promoting the new My Celebration Florida app as well. Probably one of our biggest concerns that we're seeing is the mature oak trees. A lot of the condominium parking lots are having extensive damage from the roots. We're also seeing that in the easeways and the easements throughout the community. So that may be something that the new board is going to have to maybe take a look at.
It's also an issue with a lot of the townhomes in the alleyways. So we're planning a meeting with the landscaping vendors that represent the townhomes, the townhome committees, and those service areas that don't have a committees. We'll just do an open invitation to have a joint service area committee to discuss the tree issue. And if there's some sort of joint resolution that they can all partake in as kind of an economy of scale.
You'll let me know about that.
Of course.
That's it?
I do want to talk about the transition to My Celebration FL. As John had mentioned, Angel and I and Yesenia and Jose are on a call every Friday afternoon to discuss any issues that have been brought to our attention. There have not been any new issues that have been brought to our attention since John and Tom had found those bugs and user interface issues. John is going to start joining those calls as well, so he can participate and make sure the bugs that he entered are addressed. The CROA staff is messaging out. We will adjust messaging, so we note the shut-off date as well as the 15th. It will be kind of a soft shut-off. CDD has stopped responding to cell service tickets based on my conversation with Angel a couple weeks ago. So our staff is going in, and any cell service tickets that are being entered for CDD properties, we are going to be starting to respond to those and saying, we are transitioning to a new application. We're going to open the ticket up for them in My Celebration FL and provide them with that ticket number so they can log in, and invite them to download the app so they can utilize it. So that'll be another messaging piece as well.
I'm just thinking of extra steps.
It's just, we need to have as many touch points with the residents in terms of transition. So as much as we can do, we're going to have tables at all the events coming up that are dedicated to this transition. So
Will you be able to get some of the reports like we've gotten in the past? Like, here's how many were submitted, here's the nature of them, here's their status.
there is reporting functionality in there. I haven't fully played with it yet.
That's fine.
But yes, I will make sure that you get similar statistics, if not more fully fleshed.
And I think that's something also helpful to the larger community. So not just the board, but it's to the community as a whole. here's the status of things. It's just kind of constant reinforcement. Things are being handled, at least from the CROA perspective, in a timely way.
Does CROA have any references to teleservice or things that need to be adjusted? Has that been inventoried or audited?
I don't believe there's anything in CROA that references teleservice. The website references teleservice, but we've already started transitioning that page to encourage people to download My Celebration FL and transition over.
And I'm not sure if the magazine has that in that page.
Liz was auditing the magazine for March.
But on the standard masthead, on whatever it is, page 4 or something.
So Liz was auditing that for March. I'll double check with her tomorrow. Also in the magazine will be another article about the transition to My Celebration FL and how to download the app.
Did Brian leave?
Yeah.
From Exquisite?
Yes.
Oh, it's right here.
About 5 minutes ago.
I let him go after the consent agenda.
Oh, I had a couple of questions. Brian here can answer.
You gonna be at
We have a
Lakeside
question
tomorrow?
for, you have a answer? No?
You gonna be at Lakeside tomorrow? 'Cause we're gonna be touring something around 10.
Yeah. Take a pig, take a pig or whatever.
Any other questions on the management report?
I don't think so.
Do we have an update on the CCFC fields? Anything on that? Because I know that I feel like we're going on and on with that. Are we going to get? I think they were working on the scope, right? Are we going to get maybe?
It's done and completed and ready to be pushed out. We just gave them a list of vendors. They're gathering another list of vendors and it'll go.
Who's that?
MBV, the firm that you hired to write the scope and owner rep that project.
So that'll be on the March agenda, hopefully.
Well, they're ready. They're aiming to have bids back by March 23rd. So for the board to interview companies around your end of March phase.
Did we? I probably should know this. Did we issue an RF? But I was that months ago. I'm trying to remember when.
It hasn't been issued yet. It should be issued by the end of the week.
But do we need to vote on that or no? Is that?
It hasn't been your standard practice other than for this playground RFP for the board
Okay,
to.
all right. Okay, then.
If you want me to send it to you all, I can send it to you all.
It may not be a bad idea to circulate it before anything goes out.
Anything else? Going. Okay, we had a request to move the shade structure. Okay. That would be me to B. That would be me. So, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to read a couple of excerpts from the inspector who inspected the Spring Park playground. So let's keep in mind that this person does this for a living, these inspections. And in regard to what I'm going to read, I'm not going to read the whole report of what is at Spring Park. I am going to read the report that we should use in regards to all of our playgrounds moving forward. The first part is general environmental notes. I don't know if everybody's read the inspection report, so I'm going to read it. At the time of the physical walkthrough, 7 broken and fallen tree limbs were noted on and around the composite structure. Natural trees provide valuable sources of shade, but they also come with their own list of requirements and higher levels of maintenance. Play equipment located under trees generally are susceptible higher levels of mold and mildew, which will require more frequent cleaning. All tree limbs must be maintained at a minimum of 84 inches above any accessible surface. This includes the ground, but also every platform deck that users stand on during use of the equipment. In the case of swings, the requirement is 84 inches plus an additional 42 above the pivot point so that the users don't get their feet entangled in tree branches while in the to-fro motion. Although trees are not designated pieces of play equipment, the placement of a tree in a playground becomes fair play for children who are inclined to climb the trees. A notation to discourage tree climbing may be suitable addition to a comprehensive sign at this playground location. Tree roots must never be above the grade level, and tree trunks must be located outside the use zone for all equipment. Why'd we have the tree cut down at East Lawn, Lauren?
It was dead/dying first based on Brian Causey's arborist, and it was becoming a hazard. The roots were also becoming a trip hazard in the playground as well.
So in my interpretation to this means in the playground area. So trees should be planted, I imagine, on the outskirts of the playground. And schedule is the owner's operator's responsibility. Oh, let me just go back to the sentence. Lastly, children have been seriously injured when struck by a fallen limb of a tree located within the playground area. It is the owner's responsibility to maintain the health of the tree and to continually check for dead branches and schedule routine maintenance to remove any dead or broken branches so that they do not fall on the equipment or users of the equipment. So that kind of sort of justifies why that tree at East Lawn was removed, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. Next, shading considerations. According to the American Academy of Dermatology, research indicated that 1 in 5 Americans will develop some form of skin cancer during their lifetime, and 5 or more sunburns double the risk of developing skin cancer. Utilizing existing shade trees, designing play area structures as a means for providing shading. Also, it says elevated platforms with shaded space below, or creating more shade, man-made structures are potential ways to design a playground to help protect children's skin from burn. When trees are used for shade, additional maintenance issues arise, such as the need for cleaning up debris and trimming limbs. So, sun exposure. Is sun exposure sufficient to heat exposed? If sun exposure is to heat exposed bare metal slides, platforms, steps, and surfaces enough to burn children, will children be exposed to the sun during the most intense part of the day? Spring's coming, summer's coming. If yes, bare metal slides, platforms, and steps should be shaded or located at direct sun. Provide warnings that equipment and surfacing exposed to intense sun can burn. Consider shading the playground or providing shaded areas nearby. We've discussed this in May or June, Katie, about putting a tree. Well, let's put the tree, let's take the tree from Island Village, let's plant new trees. I understand people love trees, it's nature, but it's already the end of February. And if this inspection report didn't come out, I would still be going along with, Spring Park Playground. It's still not done and everything. But I kind of think we put that on the back burner. And I kind of think it's important now with the hot months coming that we think about putting a shade structure there, at least at that top part, because there is absolutely no shade there at all. No, nothing. Not a thing. Talking about East Lawn. Down at East Lawn, the top farm. So can we move this along? I know we've focused on Spring Park, Long Meadow, Spring Park, but this was discussed back in June about trees. We don't have time for the trees to mature. We certainly don't have the tree to be replanted and wondering if that tree is going to be secure in the playground. Can we just move forward with getting a shade structure? I know it costs money. This is not a need and want. This is a need. We need a shade structure for those kids, because once that sun starts beating down on that equipment, why bother having a playground down there? So now we'll be out 3 playgrounds. So anybody agree, disagree, care?
I thought we got a price for. shade structure
Yeah.
last summer.
We put it on
But
hold.
also, but Brian, we had a conversation around moving. My understanding, there were 3 to 4 trees in Island Village, mature trees that were going to be potentially transplanted for deer woods. It was deer woods and then East Lawn. So that was my recollection, that there were a couple of trees that they were going to move for
So
us.
they're mature trees, but they're not mature trees that are gonna provide sufficient shade for this playground. And you can't plant them in the playground, as noted by Diane's report. They have to be outside of the fencing, which means they should be more the 20-year plus old age, which these trees certainly are not.
And a tree 20 years or more probably isn't going to hold up if a nice hurricane decides to blow through. But maybe a shade structure may, I don't know. All I know is this woman, this is what she does for a living. This is not part of the spring park inspection. This is, like I said, should be for all of our playgrounds. Because the kids, I know, I bring my grandchildren to the playground. We're going to be out 3 playgrounds because there's no shade.
So maybe here's a compromise-ish. Should we get some proposals and give the pricing ideas to the MPEG and have them?
No,
get that part
because
of their
no, because this needs to be done yesterday. This doesn't need to be waiting for the master plan advisory group to come up with a suggestion. We know we need the shade. The woman says we need the shade. It's already March. We're going to be in summer pretty soon, and we're not going to have no shade structure. And we're going to have complaints from the parents that they can't bring their children down to East Lawn to go to the playground. So it's nothing against the master plan advisory group. This is something that should have been taken into consideration a few months ago, but we've spent so much time in the spring park playground. This is just one playground now that won't be able to be utilized with the hotter months coming.
Okay, I'm gonna say
shade structure was
something and somebody's
$99
gonna have a tomato in their
We
pocket.
live in Florida, not Indiana.
No. This is something that just popped into my head. We've got 50 some passive parks. Some of those passive parks are large enough for a playground and have mature trees on the outskirts of the park. Could we maybe find another passive park in East Village and relocate this playground to somewhere where it already has mature
You
trees?
just put new equipment there.
Well, you can move it. I'm not to say destroy it.
I think we
didn't
just
even
went
get-
through the equipment relocation conversation with the spring park playground, and most people said they don't want to do it.
I don't
We
know. Like,
can't
I
even-
feel like,
I was just a thought. Never mind. Move on.
yeah, I mean, I think we need to, I don't know, like, I know we've had the arborists and exquisite looking at these, but trees define celebration. I mean, once we take them out, they're out. And once we cut the canopies, they're cut. And so I just don't, I think we have to be really careful with these types of things. And I almost wonder the value of getting a conservationist or someone that can also kind of come in and look at these two and maybe give a second opinion. I'm not trying to drive a cost necessarily, but,
You want a
going back to
second
what-
opinion on a playground inspector?
on trees and cutting down trees and taking trees and moving trees.
No. She suggested everything and all the requirements. We haven't even gotten to that big tree in Spring Park yet. That's going to be a whole new can of worms when that tree is going to have to be trimmed back and branches are all over the place. This is from an inspector. We can't be worried about the trees. We need to get a shade structure down there for that playground.
Well, Charles, there's nothing saying that we can't move those Island Village trees to East Village and to provide some trees over there, so it's not just bare on top of Celia's idea, because it's an existing tree that you're not paying for. It's just the labor that we're really paying for Brian.
Did you get the dimensions of that?
It's 141 square feet and 14 feet high.
So what is that? 141 square feet and 14 feet high?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then shade structure would have to be at least 20 feet high, not higher.
Depends what kind of equipment is underneath it. Depends on what kind of shade structure. Are you doing like a tent? Or are you doing like what's at North Village? Are you doing the sail? Like
The
they have
sail,
it
like,
at-
what's the most cost effective? Let's go that way.
Well, we got a $99,000 quote on the last shade structure, I recall. Right? That was $99,000.
I thought it was 170. So.
That's what I thought.
We just need to move forward with this and stop kicking it down the road because we're getting closer to those hot months. And
David's had his hand up.
go ahead, David. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, David.
Seems to me there's a short term and a long term that we should pursue both. The short term is to take care of some shade. The longer term is whether you relocate trees, plant trees. It'll take a decade or two to get a substantive shade structure from nature. But let's do some more planning on that, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, but get some trees there. But in terms of some temporary sale, I'm sure there are some very low cost things that may last a year, it may last 2 years, but that can be low cost. Do it for today, cover this year, investigate the longer term, the more secure poles and so forth. But I think that I'm sure that those who are expert in outdoor recreation will be able to identify a very low cost shade structure or shade structures.
Maybe Diane. She can probably have a recommendation.
Yeah.
So I think I think you can do both and you can have it installed by May. Or April. I mean, it can be done.
You don't agree?
No, I do agree that, because we're gonna have 2 more playgrounds out of commission this summer.
Yeah, because by the time we're done, I mean,
But I think that it can be, we'll move forward.
it's
So,
just
yeah, I think
I think
important.
you raise a good point.
Yeah.
If management gets some numbers just to look at them.
Just some numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reach out to Diane. We'll talk to Diana and see what she recommends in terms of shade structure for that area, and then we can get some bids.
I mean, we've also talked to 6 or 7 playground vendors. I'm sure that all sell shade structures in there.
I mean, the school just put up that sail in the back outside the gym. And that's amazing because the kids used to sit right on the cement during gym class. Now they have that shade structure.
That's who they used, and I know.
Sorry for going off.
Sarah got her hand up in the.
But I'd like to move on.
Yep.
I'd like to move on to so Jared could give us some information on the master plan advisory group, because we only have 15 more minutes left. And I know that's an important topic.
Sorry, I just wanted to, was that about that last topic that we had?
About the shade, yeah.
Do we want to hear that quicker?
Do you want shade or not?
Yeah, but I would also like to consider it for Island Village as well.
Well, right now we're working on East Lawn. We got to take baby steps. It was just going to come out of my mouth, but right now we have to work on East Lawn.
So Jared, take it away with master plan. Is that okay with everybody? Sort of pushing solar lights? And
Master plan is quick. The master plan advisory group would like me to read the statement that says, on behalf of the master plan advisory group, we would like to thank they say 60 plus, we had about 80 residents who joined us last night for our first community listening event. This important step in the process has provided us with extremely valuable input to what will inform our next steps of developing and administering a community-wide survey. Our team is being very disciplined and thoughtful in how we proceed, and we are confident we will deliver on our objective of an executable master plan. We appreciate all the support from CROA, the input and feedback from residents, and the partnerships with all the entities, including Celebration Partner Programs and Celebration Development District. So that is the statement from the MPAG regarding last night's event. There were, like I said, about 80 people here. They did 4 breakout groups discussing the future master plan committee, a community center. There was a table for community center or master plan committee, a table for communications, and then each village had a specific area where you could provide feedback that was village specific.
Can I interrupt you for a
Yeah,
second?
please.
Which was very interesting because if you looked at each village, clean the ponds, clean the ponds, clean the ponds, fountain in the ponds, please maintain the trails and all that was added to all those little, which
So-
we're not responsible for.
So Jared, at some point, are they going to define the difference between an amenity center and a recreation center? Is that on, do you know if that's on their
Yes.
radar?
They had
Yeah.
3 different definitions at their community center table. One, Mark came up with some really good definitions that kind of helped guide the discussion of what people were looking for.
Yeah, they were very unbiased in what they were doing, and they were putting out ideas so that people would respond naturally with what the feedback was. They were all very attentive to not guide the conversation, and that was reiterated.
That's why I didn't show up, because I figured if I participated, they'd say I was guiding it someplace. I thought, stay home.
Yeah, no board members participated
No,
at
we
all in
didn't.
this.
The other thing I just like to throw out there, I read that there's consideration being given to just repairing this building. I think we collectively, everybody, would be doing a disservice to the community to just move ahead with repairing this building without looking at costs and other options. If it's an extension, if it's a lay down, because Jared, you were in those meetings with me. I mean, this building, especially now with what they're saying, is going to end up being gutted. And the shell itself isn't even very worth keeping, remember?
Yeah, they even have a subcommittee just for that, where they're looking at what are the options and how to go about that. So that is
somewhere I saw that and I thought, let's look at everything just to, make a conscious decision.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
So it was very successful.
When's the survey going to go out?
Middle of March, mid to late March? Yeah,
Middle of March.
middle of March.
Something I'm just going to throw out there. When we were looking at, years ago, we're doing these surveys and the outside of the envelope, you know how it says for voting, you're like ballot enclosed. It said something like Parks and Recreation Survey or something like that. I hadn't lived here that long. It went in the garbage because I figure I don't use parks and recreation. I think you have to be, if you're going to put something on the outside of the envelope to get people's attention to want to read it, it has to be something broader. I'm sorry.
Get mailed?
I'm going to say, if we mail this is going to be a very expensive endeavor.
No, I don't think we're mailing it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be.
Well, even just the headline on it has to.
Well, that's why because they didn't focus on facilities yesterday. That was 1/4 of the conversation. Communications was a whole breakout group. The master plan committee that they're developing was a whole breakout group. So they really are looking at everything, not just what do we build or what do we fix.
What's the difference between a master plan committee and the master plan advisory group?
Committee continues on a year-round basis
Yeah.
to make sure
It'll
that
make sure the stuff is done and
Yeah.
not just,
When
They're trying to make it,
they execute.
there's all like, hey, you're supposed to be building this year, or hey, you need to fix this. Someone fell on board.
Right. Okay, good. Okay.
I think it went well. Thank you. And thank you, Lauren, Jeffrey, Jose, Nikki, who else was here from your team?
Jason?
Oh,
Allison was here.
yeah,
Everybody
everybody.
was great because there was a lot of shifting around because a lot more people were showing
Yeah.
up. So it was
Everything was the way the committee asked for it, and it really worked out well. And then we had the 2 conference rooms set up for breakout rooms, but
yeah, we had 14 people.
Bill had no customers. Sorry, Bill.
So I would like to, again, postpone heating out in the village and the, solar lights.
Can I do a quick update on the solar lights?
Yeah,
Of course. Very short.
Okay.
Solar lights, the local rep is coming out to meet with us to look at it, test it. We had a call with the company that's a
Because they're
Canadian.
not working correct.
We don't know if they're not working correctly. There could be some other issues that are going on. So we talked to the local or to the company itself, and there's 4 options that could be causing the issue that are very simple fixes. And then there's a potential wiring issue which is why we're having the rep come out so they can give us their input. We're talking about one of the options is we're adjusting the time frame that they're on, so they're not on for such a long period of time in the evening and in the morning. They are being cleaned regularly. However, remind me of the hawk that lives there.
Yes,
Hawk.
there's a red shoulder
A
hawk.
red shoulder hawk that
Yeah.
lives there that likes to sit on the
Well, there's
lights.
good feasting in the small dog.
Yeah.
Right,
Sit
correct.
on the lights, swoop down, grab something to eat, sit up there, do his business.
Yep.
So the lights are frequently dirtied by this lovely, gorgeous bird.
Yes.
So
I just don't want to miss a window because we're still in a warranty.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to miss that and then have.
That's why we're having the local rep come out and take a look and do all that.
And what's the reason we have the solar lights? The committee recommended the solar lights.
Yeah, the committee did all the research. I think Dory really headed that up significantly. She did a ton of research. These were recommended because they're at Cape Canaveral. We wouldn't have to run any wiring for them, which would save on cost. They'll stand up to the hurricanes, and if for some reason we need to move them, they are easily removable and moved. The dog park committee decided where the placement was going to be and actually pared down the original proposal from the company. That was sent to the tech committee for them to provide their experience and expertise in terms of if they thought that the amount of lights and placement would be sufficient to provide sufficient lighting in the evenings. Back to the dog park committee to recommend to the board to pay for it. Originally, they were going to pay for it out of dog park funds, but I believe David made the motion to pay for it out of capital funds fully because the dog park funds weren't going to cover it in full.
So this wasn't Grand Man's idea to put solar lights down at the dog park because there's no solar lights anywhere else in the community, correct?
No, Dory started the research before we.
This was the recommendation and everything you said time-wise.
How many people use the park after dark?
I do not know. We can get a key card strike by time.
We don't know yet because they haven't been able to
It
because
becomes
it's dark.
circular. They put the lights in and nobody still uses it.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So yes, we're on top of the warranty issue. It's the gist of it.
Just leave it on the agenda, just to make sure we don't miss the warranty.
I know we only have Island Village, but I would like to give, this is David and Bill's last official board meeting other than the annual meeting. So I would like to be able to get some board comments in before we close tonight.
We just have one more item. Why don't we do it?
You're gonna talk fast because I know you.
No, master of the.
I know, but I know you.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're good.
and I know how you are about
We're
8
good.
o'clock.
We're good.
Okay.
10 minutes.
You've heard him talk. Okay, Heating Island Village pool.
Bill, you put this on.
We just get a price?
Yeah.
That's all.
All right, so
Is this a $10,000 thing? Or
do you want me to do
200,000?
just Island Village or do you want me to do
Sure.
existing non-heated?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing we're using our pool contractor to get that number probably. They probably do.
But
Yeah, that's-
Island Village is already plumbed for a heating, isn't it? So North Village is in, East Lawn is in.
It would be good to see her number.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
Even if for.
even
master
just
plan,
for
yeah.
educational purposes,
Okay.
we need to know.
That's
So,
good.
couple of things.
Is this your comment?
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's on this item. The North Village pool is what, 25 years old? So it's been without heat for 25 years, as have other pools. So I think that's important to look at. And I also know that it was about 4 or 5 years ago, the board asked a prior management company to scope out what the cost would be. And my memory was North Village might be about 50 grand. That was a memory rather than a commitment. And the whole idea is not just heating, but it's geothermal because it helps to cool in the summer. So it makes the pools more 12-month facilities rather than limited to non-winter and non-summer. So I think if we're starting to look at this, we should look at all the pools and give priority to the older pools with those residents that have not been served at all. I also know that as Mattamy looks at building phase 2 and maybe phase 3, and they look at pools, that's always their choice with our input, their choice in conjunction with the county and the celebration company and our input that they can take or leave. So I think part of our input for phase 1 was asking that not just Mattamy, but Streetlights, who was the apartment builder who actually built the pool, get those pumped.
Weren't you the liaison
Yes,
for Mattamy?
yeah.
Since the beginning.
At the very beginning, right.
Thank you.
And so we sat with them in this room and next door to help influence them, knowing that we were not the decision makers, that it was always the county Celebration Company and them, both Streetlights and Mattamy, that would actually make the decisions. But one of our messages to them was, we can be your best advocate if you listen to us, and we can also be a big pain in the side for you if you're not listening to us. And that had to do not just with the amenity building, but it also had to do with the roadways and sidewalks and parking by the school. Again, input to them to make the decisions that they would make. So I think geothermal work on all of our pools are a priority, not just Island Village.
And
that would
I agree.
That's the discussion.
I agree with what you said. And I think the one thing I would put out there, I think we need to, as we go through this, there's obviously a lot of costs involved in maintaining these things. So I think that should be, what are the run rates of potentially looking at all these pools. And the other consideration, if we're going to do this for one pool, it probably makes sense to at least kind of map it out for everything and see, is there preferred, because I'd imagine, you'd probably get some breaks in the pricing if you look at kind of everything in totality. And then, if we want to roll it out, to David's point, if it's, the oldest first, but I think there could be some savings up there on the front end by kind of going out with all the pools.
Anything else? Okay, I know that at least David has a board comment, so we'll start with you.
Yeah, just, this is my last board meeting for now. 7 years ago this month, I was sitting over there. 8 years ago this month, I was on the Recreation Committee. So I've had the honor, my message today is just to thank you and thank this group and thank the management team, the prior management team, and thank mainly the residents of Celebration for the trust and honor you put in me. So having been elected 3 times to this board, having served for 7 years, having served as president for 1.25 years, having served as vice president for 4 different presidents, not at once, but over the time, it's really been an honor. It's been a lot of work. When people talk about how many hours, it's not just hundreds, it's been thousands. And as I reflect back, I think about, something you just said, weren't we at the table? Yes. Always trying to push the envelope for what's better for Celebration, always trying to work on collaboration. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Always pushing for greater professionalism. And I've seen that with our committees. I think we've grown by 2 committees in those years, and the professionalism and the dedication that the people bring to those committees, the processes that we've had, the communication, the events, the maturity is amazing. So I look forward to going back to the other side of the table and just to leave a perspective that I used when I first ran for this board. And it comes from the inaugural issue of the Celebration magazine. Yes, I have a copy on my coffee table. Yes, I do. And so I found a quote in there by John Gardner that I found 7 years ago. And so I'll just leave you with 2 sentences. I think, or maybe it's 3. A healthy community, and I think this speaks well about Celebration. A healthy community reaffirms itself continuously. It builds its own morale. It may face up to its flaws and tolerate criticism, but basically it has confidence in itself. So I hope that perspective helps. I feel very thankful for the honor placed in me to have been the inaugural, if you will, liaison to the Celebration Foundation. I'll have that last board meeting tomorrow as the liaison from CROA, but it's just been a true honor to work with the foundation, to work with CCDD, the county commissioners, schools, and Lexon, and then the Celebration Company. So again, thank you, and I thank you for the trust over these last 7 years.
Thank you. He doesn't hold the record for serving on the board the longest. I think it's Dave Orris, and he served on the board for 12 years.
Right.
So,
right.
But you're
seven,
there.
Seven continuous years.
Yeah. Oh, that's true too.
With no break.
Bill, did you want to say something?
A lot less, but yes.
Oh, I told you, David.
I want to thank the community that voted for me twice to the board. And certainly, I've had many supportive and kind comments during my service on the board, and I appreciate that. And had some very interesting problems. And the problems that were most surprising were not known. There's a lot more going on in relationships between us and the other entities in the alphabet soup, as well as there were legal issues, which are generally not discussed at these meetings because they're in executive session that I had no awareness of just because they're in litigation and not discussed. So thank you.
Thank you. But did you have fun? You have the answer. I'm not going to say anything because I get to talk at the annual meeting. Do you have any?
That's right, we all talk. We all.
No, there's the president's thing. I got my own.
You don't get to.
And I might even, Tim said I could even get a new dress. So, you have anything to say?
So this is our last official board meeting as a group. We also
As this group.
as residents called us the most dysfunctional board they've ever met in their life. All kinds of names, but at the end of the day, we will have the same thing in our mind. What's the best interest for Celebration?
Yeah.
We may not always agree on things. I want that change structure. I don't care how much it costs. I feel like I'm yelling at my husband. But we survived. Like I told Jeffrey one time when I first met him, I says, just think of us like sitting around the dinner table on a Sunday afternoon. We're not blue bloods. We're more like Yellowstone. And that's how we'll leave it.
Garrett, anything for the good of the cause?
And no, I usually make a final motion now, but I will defer to David for this.
Well,
No.
Charles, you have anything to say?
No comments.
Board comments? Hello?
No.
Oh, no? Okay. Nothing. Okay. David, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?